is a sickness inside us. We build, we buy, we consume, we wrap ourselves in the illusion of material success. We cheat and deceive as we claw our way to the pinnacle of what we define as achievement, superiority to other men. There is a sickness inside us, rising like the bile that leaves that bitter taste at the back of our throats. But the truth cannot be ignored.
Let's bring in CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Hey, Olivia, the president spoke earlier today, and he also addressed those claims that he personally asked FIFA for a review. What did he say?
Hey, Muga, it's good to see you. Yeah, the president actually admitted that, in fact, he did call the head of FIFA, Gianni Infantino, and he did ask him to review that controversial red card decision. The president said that he didn't tell Infantino what to do, that he didn't tell him to reverse the call or push off the suspension, but he just asked him to review it. Take a listen to what the president said here.
He didn't do anything wrong, and he's our best player or one of our best players, a very vital player. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. I said, boy, that's a big, if it happened to another player, it would have been unfair. But when they take your best player or just about, they have some great players, and they say you can't play, that's very unfair. It's one thing to penalize somebody for the game, but how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet?
For only when we know what ails us can we hope to find the cure.
We're here at the headquarters of FIFA in Zurich. It's here in this building where a lot of the top decisions in the world of football are made by President Sepp Blatter and the executive committee as well. A total of around 300 employees work here every day. It's a state-of-the-art facility. I'm going to take you inside, let you have a look around inside the home of football. As soon as you walk into the building, it's clear to see there's a World Cup just around the corner. To start off, how about the World Cup trophy, the holy grail that all 32 competing teams will be battling for in South Africa? And here in the lobby, in the main reception area, we have the reigning FIFA World Player of the Year, Leo Messi, and his predecessor, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Interaction between President Trump and the Belgian Prime Minister, because later today the president is going to head to the NATO summit that's being held in Turkey, and guess who will also be there but the Belgian Prime Minister. So depending on how tonight goes, there's still going to be that interaction that we will be watching for in the coming days.
All right, Olivia, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see what happens when if those two leaders meet. We'll see what happens. And also, looking forward to what happens tonight, obviously rooting for Team USA and the USA men's national team. Olivia Rinaldi at the White House for us today. Thank you so much.
The headquarters of the international conspiracy is in Geneva, Switzerland. Great difficulty, however, was encountered in maintaining international secrecy. It was decided that an outside group was necessary to coordinate and control international efforts in order to hide the secret from the normal scrutiny of governments by the press. The result was the formation of a secret society which became known as the Bilderbergers.
Another high-profile character welcoming us to the home of football is Zakomi, the official mascot to the tournament in South Africa. We are now inside the main conference room of the home of FIFA. This is where all the executive committee meetings take place. Other committees meet here as well. The president of FIFA normally sits here when he chairs these meetings. And of course, Sepp Blatter is now the 8th president of football's world governing body. He's got some history, and all he has to do to check what other work other presidents did is look up on the wall, because here are the previous 7 presidents of FIFA. The last one before Mr. Blatter was João Avelange from Brazil, and he was there for 24 years. One day, when Mr. Blatter retires, he'll also have his portrait on the wall. I wanted to show you something in the middle of this room. It's a plaque. What's so special about the plaque? Well, nothing really, except underneath it is a football filled with soil from all 208 FIFA member nations.
In life and even in death, the Swiss Guard is never far from the Pope's side, standing at attention in their distinct blue, red, and yellow uniforms and feather-plumed hats. They were there during Pope Francis's final public appearance on Easter. Later, lowering the Vatican's flags to half-mast after his death.
The headquarters of this group is in Geneva, Switzerland. The Bilderbergers evolved into a secret world government that now controls everything.
Now they're standing guard at the altar as the Pope lies in state, all part of a mission that goes back half a millennia.
Swiss Guards have been around since the 1500s, so over 500 years, so really one of the oldest military units on Earth.
The Swiss military-industrial complex is very big, very powerful and very dangerous, with the fingers stretching into politics and giving orders to the worldwide octagon police inside and outside Switzerland.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, step right up. Tonight we're not just watching a show, we're stepping into the ring of history itself. For more than 2.5 centuries, the circus has made the impossible look easy and the ordinary feel magical. It has survived empires, wars, television, and changing tastes. But where did it really begin? From the blood-soaked arenas of ancient Rome to the glittering big tops of the 19th century, and the breathtaking theatrical spectacles that thrill millions today, this is the complete, spectacular story of the world circus.
And this is why all French policemen carry Swiss Sieg Sauer guns, while in fact France itself makes excellent guns like FAMAS, Manurin, Unique and some other French brands. This here is the submachine gun of the future, with 50% less recoil and 90% less muzzle climb, because of the bolt action going down instead of backwards. It shows an incredible high rate of 1545 ACP, high stopping power rounds. And the difference between a 9mm or a 45 is being hit either with a baseball or a medicine ball. This gun is being produced in the US under US patents. So Americans think it's US homemade and will buy it much quicker.
The regiment's uniforms and ceremonial halberd pikes, a remnant of their medieval roots as a group of Swiss mercenaries sworn to protect the Pope. An oath new guards take on May 6th of every year. Recruits for the coveted post must be Swiss men between 19 and 30 years old. They are practicing Catholics and unmarried.
It is a real sort of elite privilege and a select group of men who become Swiss Guards.
But don't let these historic uniforms fool you. These guards are soldiers.
Donald Trump has always been a draw, attracting a crowd in Davos, even for a virtual appearance.
What are you expecting from Mr. Trump? Mr. Kerry?
I have no idea.
Mr. Miliband? Any expectations?
Not yet.
The president beamed in from Washington to addressing a meeting of business and political leaders he's dominated from a distance.
Everyone that represented these nations came to FIFA at one point or other, brought with them a piece of soil and deposited it in there. One last fact about this room: there's no mobile reception here, no signal, and there's a specific reason for that. Since there are so many important meetings held here, FIFA President Sepp Blatter didn't want anyone to leak any information out, so everyone has to wait until the meetings are over. Then there's a press conference or a media release, but no one can really divulge the information of the decisions made here before they're allowed to. Next, we're going to one of my favorite spots in this building. And that's because here is where we can find all the official balls of the previous World Cups. And this is my favorite right here, the Tango from 1982. It's the first World Cup I can remember watching when I was 7 years old. You go through all the other World Cups, the Azteca from Mexico, for example, the last one, the Teamgeist from Germany in 2006. And now, of course, we have the Jabulani for South Africa in 2010.
What are you expecting from Mr. Trump, gentlemen?
Who knows? Who knows?
You know, I'm going to pass, thank you. I worked for President Biden.
And what are you expecting?
I have no idea.
I
can't wait to hear.
His message, America first, means Europe is in his sights.
The EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They have a large tax that we know about, and a VAT tax, and it's a very substantial one. They don't take essentially don't take our farm products, and they don't take our cars, yet they send cars to us by the millions.
He dangled offers of tax cuts for businesses that moved to America and offered hope, but no detail, of peace in Ukraine.
It's so important to get that done. That is an absolute killing field.
For that huge American gun market. But it belongs in fact to the Swiss military industrial complex with that Chris company based in Nyon, Switzerland, and belongs to Gamma Research Technologies. And the so-called US patents stand on the names of 3 Swiss nationals. So this is why the Chris Vector Super V has the Octagon Stampless V stamped on the weapon. This is Octagon's gun of the future with a V on it. Here on YouTube with the Swiss cross, and it's called the username Chris Group, as you can see. Yeah. And in the about the user, they call themselves a defense conglomerate. Well, how true? Based in Switzerland. Well, there you go.
Millions of soldiers are being killed. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. They're laying dead all over the flat field.
What do you think of the President's speech, Madame Lagarde?
Little wonder Europe's leaders, including the boss of the central bank, looked slightly stunned.
This week, Davos has effectively been a live focus group made up of the rich and powerful on Donald Trump's first week in power. Well, they have just heard an expression of total confidence in American might, and he poses a huge challenge to many of them, particularly in Europe.
They do serious training, both physical training, they do intelligence training.
Swiss guards were there during a 1981 assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II. Since that moment, the Swiss Guard has enhanced tactical training for its members. And since then, pontiffs have enjoyed a close connection to many of their guards. That's Pope Francis warmly recalling phone calls with some of his former guards earlier this year who came to visit him at the Vatican.
The Swiss Guards enjoy a reputation of being, one, incredibly efficient and loyal. They consider it a real privilege and an honor to guard the Pope and
they sell it under www.chrisusa.com. And to produce the weapon in the USA, it's cheaper than in Switzerland. It's a bigger market, and there are no export conditions like in Europe. So it is indeed a conglomerate from Octagon. 1/3 of all American policemen carry Swiss Sig Sauer guns, while the US, in fact, make excellent guns themselves.
After a week in the Alps spent guessing what Trump's second coming might mean for the global economy, no one can leave in any doubt of the disruption to come.
Yeah, well, Rita, the U.S. and Chinese delegations are currently meeting behind me here just down the road at the Swiss ambassador to the UN residence. There seems to be some movement, not sure what's going on, if the meetings have wrapped up. But the U.S. delegation, of course, led by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and also U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer. The Chinese delegation, led by the country's Vice Premier He Lifeng, also described as the country's basically economic czar. So these are without, obviously it goes without saying high-level and very important meetings that have been happening throughout the day. Bessent said earlier this week that really the focus of the talks would be on de-escalation, a de-escalation of the tensions between both countries having to do with the ongoing tariff battle. But that said, we are not expecting any major breakthrough from the talks this weekend. The hope, however, Rita, is that the U.S. and China will basically scale back the massive tariffs. On that point, President Trump posted these messages on his Truth Social on Friday, writing China should open up its market to USA, would be so good for them. Closed markets don't work anymore. And then later, he posted another message saying 80% tariff on China seems right, up to Scott B., again, referring to the Treasury Secretary. On Friday, Swiss President Karine Keller-Sutter, who also serves as Switzerland's finance minister, met with both the Chinese and U.S. delegations. She said that talks with Bessent were, quote-unquote, disappointing. They did not result in the removal of the 31% tariff, U.S. tariff on Swiss goods. But that said, the Swiss president said she was also encouraged that a deal could be reached, adding this. Take a listen.
You know, I said to Secretary Bessent that apparently the Holy Spirit was in Rome yesterday, and I hope that he will come to Geneva over the weekend.
So here you can see it. According to Sig Sauer, 1/3 of US police use Sig firearms. That's amazing. That's, you know. So this is in Wikipedia. There you can see that, Wikipedia. And it's probably elsewhere as well. Sig Sauer, Wikipedia.
And so they see this period in their life almost as one of service.
Sig Sauer uses the same sly infiltration techniques as the Swiss banks do with their fancy parties for the rich to trap them into business. Therefore, they have a thing simply called the Academy. A real octagon conspiracy tied in with big money, politics, and octagons military-industrial complex. They bribe, use nepotism, serve cocaine and prostitutes. Everything goes really, as in the case for all Swiss companies. And I've spoken to insiders personally in Switzerland who admitted this, as with a person from Swiss Frei Chocolate, who is now the manager for North America and living inside the US. Switzerland, a neutral country, eh? There is indeed a worldwide conspiracy against mankind, and it carries Swiss weapons. That utopia in the Alps, founded by the Templars, and where the world's financial elite hides its money, and where every dictator and drugs dealer brings his crime money. Just watch how Larry Silverstein insured the World Trade Center short before 9/11. Yes, in Switzerland at the Swiss Re, or reinsurance company, the Schweizerische Rückversicherungsgesellschaft from Zurich.
Think of Switzerland and you might think of fine cheese, luxury chocolate and snow-capped mountains. But you may also think of money. Switzerland has 1 billionaire for every 80,000 people, making it the third most dense billionaire population in the world. Only Luxembourg and Hong Kong have a higher proportion of individuals with a net worth of at least 10 figures. Do you feel like you know any billionaires?
I personally know quite many billionaires. Yes, and millionaires, yes.
I do not know any billionaires, no. Plenty of millionaires, but no billionaires.
No, I don't. I don't. I wish I did, but I really don't. Swiss residents are also among the richest in the world, with a mean net worth of almost $700,000, ahead of the US and Hong Kong. That makes the country stand out on several key wealth metrics.
If you look at the income distribution, it has remained relatively stable over many decades now. It is much less unequal than many other countries.
The average person has it quite good here, but I mean that doesn't mean there aren't poor either. Right. And then the super rich, of course. And I mean that difference is of course huge.
So what makes Switzerland such an attractive place for the uber wealthy? And what does that extreme wealth mean for the rest of Swiss society? As of 2022, Switzerland was home to an estimated 110 billionaires, with a combined wealth of $338 billion. That's well above other super-rich hotspots like Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and the United Arab Emirates. Among some of the country's wealthiest residents are Chanel co-owner Gerard Wertheimer, the heirs of IKEA creator Ingvar Kamprad, and the founders of homegrown healthcare giant Roche. Switzerland is considered one of the most politically stable countries, with a strong reputation for political neutrality.
And I told you, the Templars, they founded the Swiss banks with the Templars treasure. And what do we see here? The Templars V all over, upside down and like a V. Just as we can see on all the tanks now in the Middle East and all over. So if you have any doubts, well, there's a lot of V's here as well, in fact, and a lot of triangles here. This is pharaonic. It's Templar stuff. And in both 007 Octopussy and Ocean's 12, they show the Swiss Re. And the guy lives in Switzerland, and he played Simon Templar in The Saint. And even 007, it's always about Switzerland. And with this, the Prince of Darkness, I showed you in one of the other films. So here's your Swiss Re. It's all occult. And it's Swiss. It's Templar stuff. So here it is. This is from Wikipedia. It says, Swiss Re was the lead insurer of the World Trade Center during the September 11 attacks, which led to an insurance dispute with the owner, Silverstein Properties. And a reinsurance is an insurance bought by another insurance company. These are usually very big insurance companies who can afford to pay billions like only the Swiss can, profitably backed up by Nazi gold in collaboration with the Swiss Nazi banks. So per definition, a reinsurance company like Swiss Re is typical octagon by the Nazi Templars. And I just show you the V symbols. It's all there. And here it says Zurich, Switzerland. Well, it's a reinsurance company based in Zurich, Switzerland, from 1863, founded in 1863. Well, the name says it, Swiss Re. And this is their logo, 1, 2, 3 for Isis, Horus and Seth.
It means wealthy individuals can trust that their assets will be safe from any sudden leadership and policy changes. The country also benefits from an attractive tax system with low rates for both corporations and individuals, giving Switzerland a competitive advantage versus other locations.
The tax aspect is one part of the equation of rich individuals, and the form of income that very rich individuals tend to have is not labor income. Most of their income tends to be capital income or capital gains on the companies they hold. And there is no capital gains tax on financial assets here in Switzerland, which of course is attractive for these kinds of rich individuals.
This means the Swiss aren't getting taxed on the profit they make when selling an asset that's increased in value. And while there is no capital gains tax, Switzerland is one of the few European countries with a wealth tax, but it is set at a relatively low level of 0.1% to 1.1% of an individual's net wealth. That tax is levied by individual cantons, or regions, of which Switzerland has 26. Martin Buller, finance chief for the canton of Grisons, told me this system helps boost competitiveness.
The cantons are responsible for everything that's not or delegated to the confederation or delegated to the municipalities. We are able to shape our financial policy independently, but we have some law confederation-wide where we have to be in line with. We have the very globalized urban centers like Zurich, like Basel, Geneva, and Grisons is a very big on surface canton, but in the periphery it's more rural. Means we need other goodies to find the people
to attract people
to live here.
What I wanted to talk about is the octopus.
The Illuminati octopus, right? Well, not exactly. And as I said before, you can essentially look at all of these different symbols as branches from the same tree, ultimately meaning the same thing. The end is near, for real. So this right here was from one of the Olympic ceremonies a while back, and a lot of people did videos on this whole ceremony. I did as well. So much symbolism happening there. It was just insane. And really since then, we've seen it just go non-stop. I mean, it's at the Super Bowl now, right? It's all over the place. So they literally do these public prophetic plays right before the public's eyes. And so few people see all the things they're doing. But man, it gets deep, right? So the octopus. Now, I've actually covered the octopus symbolism in some other videos as well, just touched on it. But the reason I made this video is I recently saw some really interesting examples pop up. But the octopus. Now, there's actually a really long history to octopus symbolism. The symbolism of the octopus is played out in so many different arenas and in so many different ways, but so many times it essentially represents the same thing. This kind of goes back to that black goo I was talking about, or that Borg, or that kind of one mind system, one consciousness. And this even extends into some of that transhumanism stuff. Now, a lot of people have covered that as well. That whole idea that they want us all to be of one mind, right? Connected through computers and humans, and connecting computers, connecting humans. Human computers. So we see it once again played out as kind of an all-encompassing evil. It's tentacles into everything, right? I wanted to show you this really interesting connection between this octopus symbolism and the beast system, and even a little bit of a religious history here with it as well. In the decades surrounding the turn of the 20th century, it was actually very common to describe Mormonism as an octopus. In fact, the phrase Mormon octopus was ubiquitous to the point of functioning more like a name than a figure of speech. In some instances, the octopus metaphor appeared only indirectly. Mormonism had tentacles. The octopus and its metaphoric cousins were almost always pejorative, like the intelligence of the United States and the religious consciousness of the nation have long since branded Mormonism as an octopus, an enemy of the public welfare. Back in 1911, Alfred Henry Lewis wrote a famous article called The Viper on the Hearth, and it illustrated the dominance of the octopus metaphor in Mormonism. And you can see it right here on the screen. The metaphor is a viper. There are 9 different viper images accompanying the 12-page article, and all the words octopus and tentacle are absent. However, the full main illustration of the church president Joseph Smith as an octopus is sitting right there bottom left. For an interesting confirmation, we have the serpents here. Of course, serpents connected with the octopus, connected with the beast system, the serpent system. So of course, as with all these other so-called Illuminati symbols, it always comes back to pop culture, right? This is one of the most important tools that that system has to indoctrinate us into this kind of system, into these ideas as well. So you may remember the Red Skull from the Captain America movies. You can see the emblem right there, and that's from Hydra, that's his group. And he's supposed to be like a Nazi agent. And the idea, of course, behind the organization of Hydra is, well, what do you expect? World domination, right? They want to take over everything. There's something else about Hydra I wanted to show you here. This is really clever, the way they did their symbol. I haven't seen anybody else point this out, but they may have, and if so, that's great. It's really clever the way they did their symbol here. I mean, of course, you see the tentacles and you see the skull head. If you look a little bit closer, though, all 6 of those are 6s. And the first 3 on the left-hand side are just a 666, right? Now, this is where their duality comes in, and we talk about this a lot. The as above, so below. Even the checkerboard patterns in the Mason lodges, back to duality again. So we see a lot of this. We see a lot of this mirroring, this mirror universe stuff take place as well. Anyway, right here, when I first saw that, I was just like, well, look at that. I mean, they got the 666 in the front, and then they split it, and they have another 666 right there in reverse. So they have the duality. They have the mirror effect. They got the 666, and they got the 666.
And the way we do it is we have, for example, by the wealth tax, so we have this competition between the cantons on one hand, but we also are all interested that this is not exaggerating.
Switzerland also benefits from a strong Swiss franc, which lowers the cost of foreign goods and services while raising the price of Swiss exports. The country's currency has steadily strengthened over recent decades, reaching parity with the euro. Meanwhile, it has held steady against a strong dollar.
You don't have to be afraid of a major depreciation of the currency here. which is kind of related also, of course, to the political stability, to the strong legal and institutional setting here.
The country is also considered a leading business destination, with world-class financial services, pharmaceuticals and chemical sectors. It is also home to major business institutions, such as the World Economic Forum, which famously gathers global industry leaders for its annual event here in Davos. Switzerland's banking sector developed a reputation over the 20th century as a place of privacy and anonymity, making it a particularly attractive location for wealthy individuals to store their cash and potentially avoid taxes. That system came under scrutiny following the global financial crisis and the failure of several major Swiss banks, forcing the industry to clean up its act and require greater transparency from clients. But still, it has retained its status as a hub for wealth management.
Historically, that has been part of what the Swiss banks have been doing, essentially helping rich individuals evade their taxes in other countries. They've moved away from that business model and try to keep moving away from it because the international regulations have become stricter.
But that's where the confirmations come back. Again, you'll find a lot of these things associated with one another. Ultimately, branches of the same tree. So we have these evil hidden organizations that are working behind the scenes that ultimately want world domination by turning all these other countries and people against each other, right? Does that sound familiar? Once again, we see the same idea of this fifth age, the New World Order, all this stuff played out and connected with a lot of the same symbols. Now, here's the one I wanted to show you I thought was really interesting. I was actually watching Walking Dead just before I saw that commercial for Spectre, and I saw the octopus there. And just before that played, during this scene right here in Walking Dead, this is one of the characters, Michonne. She's in a bedroom, and right behind her is this huge picture, of course, of what? An octopus. And then I got my confirmation. In the very same scene, they split and they show you the wall behind her, and you can see right over her right shoulder, once again, looks like tentacles, right? So we have kind of another octopus type symbol just over her shoulder. And then there was the commercial for Spectre, right? So once again, the octopus. One more thing I'll show you. Spectre has been the bad guy in one of the old school 007 movies, and as you can see right here, it's From Russia with Love. And I thought that was really interesting as well. So we have the octopus symbolism returning, this old connection to From Russia with Love. We know that Russia's definitely a big player now, as it seems that we're on the verge of what may be World War III, right? Seems like we're right there. As I said, these are different bricks of the same pyramid, different branches of the same tree, but it's all very interesting, and I always like to show it to you when I can. And just remember that I don't show you this stuff to scare you, I'm showing this to prepare you, because this is where we're at, and this is what's happening around us. Thanks for checking out the video, and I'll talk to you later.
I told you the Ku Klux Klan, it is Swiss, and this guy here is most probably a descendant of Swiss Phileas Walder, the guy who gave Albert Pike all the orders.
They were brought here as slaves. God, nigger, the Klan is getting bigger. I want to see a Swiss system.
The shift comes as governments face increasing pressure to rein in the so-called billionaire class, as many continue to struggle with the cost of living crisis. A 2024 Oxfam report found that the combined fortunes of the world's 5 richest men have more than doubled to $869 billion since 2020, while 5 billion people have been made poorer. So what does Switzerland's ultra-rich population mean for the rest of the country, and social cohesion overall?
To focus only on rich people would not fit anymore. So we have to rethink, we have to get attractive for all part, for young people, for, I say, low qualified personnel. It's not that easy anymore to say we can focus on this and the rest is okay.
It's a problem that there are so big difference, but we're lucky that we're living in Switzerland.
It's definitely true that Switzerland does have a bigger gap between, the richer ones and the not poor, because we're not, but the less wealthy ones, you could say.
And the guy, he's selling his little bottles with the same Swiss cross on it, the Ku Klux Klan cross. Yeah, super male vitality with the Ku Klux Klan Swiss cross on it of the Templars. So super male. This makes you a super male, like a super male Templar or what? So the voice you just heard is most likely a descendant of Phileas Walder from Switzerland, who founded the Swiss Ku Klux Klan, see my video about it, and gave all the orders to Albert Pike, working on World War III against the Muslims. And this fear-mongering against Islamic State is exactly what Jonesy does with his Swiss cross all over. And it's very interesting that already Albert Pike, in this letter, he makes a difference between political and religious Zionism. So he's only against political Zionism, which is actually secular, and it just says, well, now we have to think of ourselves and defend ourselves, whereas the religious Zionism is a word by this thing called God, who foretold and promised that he will bring the Jews all together in Jerusalem, in Zion. So there are two quite different things, and this guy already makes a difference between both of them. So this is it's a very important part, that Albert Pike, he is only against the political Zionism.
Despite the extremes, however, Switzerland continues to rank highly on livability and social harmony indices. That is seen as being down to the country's social policies and labour laws, which ensure decent living standards for the less well-off too.
So you see that the workings of the labor market, the education system that makes sure that even people further down the distribution actually make good incomes, has worked for a long time very well.
If you think about the system in which there is a social structure so that people who don't earn that much can still live quite well, that is probably a key element to the society.
That Albert Pike, he is only against the political Zionism and not the religious Zionism. Very important. Just watch the front lines here of the Western Front during World War I. It goes all the way from the North Sea to, yes, Switzerland. While 1 million people died during the Battle of the Somme and were sent to a certain death as cannon fodder for the Horus Matrix, well, don't you think it would have been less costly on human resources to just make a little detour through Switzerland and attack the enemy in the back than having 9 million soldiers and 7 million civilians die over the same, not changing front line during 4 long bloody years? But on both sides, both German and Allied, just a few generals wanted European men just to die in the Horus Matrix by Octagon and the Pharaohs. Why? Well, right after World War I came the gay 20s in the original sense of the word, before those other ones kidnapped our word. And in these roaring 20s, dancing the Charleston, women were loosened up to be preyed upon by the fair aristocracy with all those Europeans dead, just as the sexual revolution of the 60s, right after World War II, with all those men dead. And this is how European women celebrated the death of their men, with 9 million European men dead immediately after the war. And this is what a war is about. You kill the man, take their women, the land and the cattle. Only Pharaoh takes the key positions and then have the men kill each other before grabbing the winner's prize. Stupid humanity. If 9 million soldiers were going to die anyway, they could have just battled only a few hundred generals.
But perhaps with all your jetting around, you have not had chance to peruse today's headlines. I rather like the last one. It isn't even mine.
I never believe what I read in the press anyway.
Therein lies your problem, Mr. Bond. You see, we're both men of action, but your era and Miss Lynn's is passing. Words are the new weapons. Satellites, the new artillery.
And you become the new Supreme Allied Commander?
Exactly. Caesar had his legions, Napoleon had his armies. I have my divisions. TV, news, magazines. And by midnight tonight, I'll have reached and influenced more people than anyone in the history of this planet, save God himself. And the best he ever managed was a Sermon on the Mount.
You really are quite insane.
The distance between insanity and genius is measured only by success.
We're in position between the fleets.
Fire one missile at the flagship of each fleet. The Chinese will think the British are rattling the saber. The British will think the Chinese are being belligerent. And the media will provide cool, objective coverage.
But maybe this here is the general, ISIS. But nobody wants to make the first sacrifice. Everyone, single selfish person just thinks of himself. And this is why stupid mankind and the vast majority has lost the battle against that minority of the enemy within. Stupid, selfish mankind. And in fact, the 20s, as you can see here, it was very, very pharaonic, Egyptian-based, the clothing and everything. And this was also the time they all went to Egypt, you know, like Carter and doing do some digging. The ISIS look of the roaring 20s. And because of ISIS and the pharaohs, just right after World War I and World War II, the 60s and the roaring 20s, now they want to kill the patriarchy. ISIS wants to kill the patriarchy. With those ISIS, you know, the ISIS Islamists, it's all the same thing, really. The Battle of the Somme started on July 1st, 1916. A battle between the German Empire and the British Empire with Australian, Canadian, Indian, New Zealand and South African troops, who lost 60,000 men on that very first day of the Battle of July 1st, which is still called the worst day of the British Army. And at the same time, also in 1916, also costing 1 million lives, the Battle of Verdun took place, just a little bit more to the east, between the French and the Germans. So 2 million European men just died in a few months' time, who were meant to die by the fair aristocracy and Octagon, the military wing. And right after, all the women, just a month after, they started to dance the Charleston and be happy and undress. So here's once more the Western Front. Here's the sea. Well, you couldn't pass here. So in only 2 or 3 months, 2 million men died here. Here Verdun, here the Somme, just right next to each other actually. And here's Switzerland. So why couldn't 2 million men just make a little detour here? And not even the Germans did it, and not the French, not the English, not the Americans. And why is this little country here? You know, you could just squeeze through, you know.
Let the mayhem begin. What you're about to witness, Miss Lynn, is not so much a missile attack, but the launch of a new world order. In precisely 5 minutes after your countrymen have attacked the British fleet, I shall retaliate for dear old England by sending this missile into Beijing. But General Chang has just called an emergency meeting of the Chinese High Command. Unfortunately, General Chang will be delayed in traffic, arriving just after the missile has killed your leaders, and too late to stop the Air Force from sinking the entire British fleet. But he will be just in time to take over the government.
It was all meant to be. If this little country of nothing could stop millions of men, I mean, they must have something to do with it, you know?
Negotiate a truce and emerge as a world leader with a Nobel Peace Prize.
What do you get?
Me? Oh, nothing. Just exclusive broadcasting rights in China for the next 100 years. How romantic. Don't you realize how absurd your position is?
No more absurd than starting a war for ratings.
Great men have always manipulated the media to save the world. Look at William Randolph Hearst, who told his photographers, you provide the pictures, I'll provide the war. I've just taken it one step further.
Sorry about that, I tuned out there for a moment, Elliot.
And now Octagon, gearing up for war, is a very bad omen indeed. The Swiss Octagon has their dirty little fingers in all crimes against humanity.
I want to see a Swiss system.
Dr. Floyd.
In the heart of Memphis, on the banks of the mighty Mississippi, stands a new monument to the outdoors, a decade in the making. A tribute to nature and the rich traditions of hunting, fishing, and the outdoors like none before it. A place of discovery, a place of wonder, a place of inspiration. The Bass Pro Shops at the Pyramid.
You look like an angel, look like an angel, walk like an angel, walk like an angel, talk like an angel, but I got wise. You're the devil in disguise, oh yes you are, devil in disguise. Devil in disguise, oh yes you are, devil in disguise, oh yes you are. Touch and all that you see, all that you taste, all you feel, and all that you love, and all that you hate, all you distrust, all you save, and all that you give, and all that you deal, and all that you buy, beg, borrow, or steal. And all you destroy, and all that you do, and all that you say, and all that you eat, and everyone you meet, and all that you slight, and everyone you fight, and all that is now, and all that is gone, and all that's to come, and everything under the sun is in view, but the sun is eclipsed by the moon.
Hi, Elvis.
How you doing?
Yesterday my life was filled with rain.
Hey, Jude.
Men jag kallar sig Elvisa.
Close call. Bavaria Radler. Lekker relaxed.
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious.
But a bright line in the sand, and we will protect you, that I can tell you, and we will say enough is enough.